But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest. I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die.
What is up, people? So let me know if my mic is shitty as all shit or sounds much better, because I'm playing with the settings and trying to figure it out. So it's going to be a little up and down, but hopefully we'll have that situated pretty soon, to the point where I won't have to worry about whether or not it sounds bad. Or let me know. Make sure you guys can hear me. Make sure there's not enough, like, too much background sound, shit like that. All right, awesome. How you doing, Twitwit? Welcome. Vic R. Crude. What is up, monkey? Let's see what else is in here. I know Chris was here. He'll be in and out. I don't know if he'll jump on the panel, but yeah. So you guys all saw the wonderful title. You don't know already. It's obviously April 1st, so don't ask me if I was serious or not. But I definitely do want to get serious with these with this figuring shit out, because one of the biggest issues that I've encountered with this globe flat Earth issue is clearly not understanding it, or maybe you understand it and you've decided you want to take it to a weird make it up and figure something out for yourself type thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's one thing I do know. Whether, even if you're trying to come up with a different equation for how something works, you have to have complete understanding of what you're trying to debunk. That makes sense. I mean, it's pretty clear. If you don't have a full understanding of gravity, how are you debunking gravity? How are you explaining to us what's the alternative is? Now, again, the whole globe denying thing and all that other stuff, it's fine, but it doesn't make sense to me. So, like I said, anyone is welcome to come on. Is that the hell is that? You guys hear a rattling in the audio? Just want to make sure, so you guys aren't having to listen to that shit. I do you guys may hear some banging and chiving, people getting to the house with zero respect for actual reality that other people are doing stuff. But anyway, don't need to get into that. But yeah, all right, my bad. I'm just nervous about the sound, because obviously I've never used this mic and I don't want to talking for nothing. So I wanted to make sure okay, good. I wanted to make sure all my settings are good to go. But like I was saying, what I wanted to go through is this idea that you can come up with a new solution, alternative to these factors that science has given us, thanks to scientists. I want to know. I want to know basically how the flat Earth community has figured out a way to come up with alternatives without either knowing the full science or deciding that they want to make a whole new science. I really need to know why and how. Those things are now going to be the important questions I'm asking, because there are a lot of flat earthers out there that are basically coming up with their own equations and own ideas of how things work, and then you explain to them the basics of different sciences, and they just deny it like it's easy to just to deny. So anybody, if you Glober and you think you have an idea why they're doing this, you're a flat earther and you know why you're doing it, please let me know. Again, the people I'm getting this information from, some of them are credible, some of them are completely full of shit, and those are the ones you got to look out for, and the ones that I believe give me the reason to even be doing this. Because does it make sense to allow someone to completely teach people stuff that isn't true? Not okay. Go ahead and check my Hangout, make sure that's good to go. If anyone's going to be able to hear it. And oh yeah, so and also the donation thing, I'll be updating that Google Drive site tonight. So if you go look on that, it's not going to have the mic yet, but it will tonight. And then we'll go from there. Then what I wanted to do also is give any flat earther the opportunity to come on and present something. Basically present your reasoning. I know a lot of flat earthers have gone on my panel, Jose's panel, or in the server to explain why they believe something to be different, and they just don't get the opportunity to. They just don't get. 1 second. My bad. Yeah, so they don't get the opportunity to present their explanations for why they believe it's a flat Earth. And I figure if I give first 10-15 minutes to let them present their ideas without anyone on the panel, that way they can get it all out and not have to worry about being cut off. I'm gonna go ahead and let it happen. I would, if I was a flat earther still, I would present. I would take that opportunity as a perfect opportunity to present, because I do see how a lot of them try to present their ideas and get cut off, and then halfway through the whole subject is completely diverged to something else. Um, I like to give them the opportunity. I like to hear the different alternatives. Sometimes they lead to good builds. Sometimes you realize where that person's even coming from, or where they're even gone wrong in there, and maybe they can come to a different solution. But yeah, I'll give you that opportunity to come on and present all you like. Let's see here. Trying to find something that had to do with the yin and yang of flat earthing globe, as you call it, because it's either it is or it isn't, right? And one of the awesome things that I started looking into is a few of these websites that you're able to like go onto and literally just go through it and see the different alternatives. What would you see on a flat Earth? What would you see on a globe? And again, that's a trick question to give someone, but at the same time, it's not, because we do know what we would see on a globe, and from that, take the results and tweak them a little bit to know what we would see on a flat Earth. The issue is we don't see that at all. I've heard flat earthers even say, "Well, how would you know what we should see on a flat Earth?" And realistically, that's not an argument for yourself. That's an argument against a flat Earth, if anything. Because again, how do you know you live on a flat Earth and you have less evidence, less information, less sources to go to, zero imaging that would depict a flat Earth, and all these things that are explained to you that you just deny? Which is again why I believe there are no flat earthers, only globe deniers. I've heard a lot of people start saying this, so I really do hope it spreads, because the reality of it is, sorry, you're not flat earthers. A flat earther would need evidence for flat Earth. A flat earther would have different observations that depict a flat Earth, and it's not happening. Last week, or last show, a couple days ago, I showed you guys a couple images that I did within moments. It was basic, showing basically what you would see on a flat Earth compared to what you would see on a globe. Actually, one of my favorites that I actually just did, I'll show you guys right now. Pull it up. But basically, all I did was that same globe. I made a ball. I put a building on it and zoomed in and then zoomed off, just to give you an idea of what it's actually like when you think it's not flat compared to it being flat because of. Go ahead and pull this up real quick. So I'm trying to pull it up right now. All right, perfect. So let me go ahead and share this screen right now so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Hopefully that will work. All right, it didn't work. Let me go ahead and I'm going to make it a media share, so it'll be real quick. Second. Again, I did this within moments. There. Go ahead and shape it to this so it can fit. So go ahead and we'll go ahead and watch it. And the first thing right off the bat you have to notice is the fact that what you're looking at, which I know isn't perfect, but it looks like a building. And if you watch it, literally we'll see how it works. Start it over. So it appears flat. As you watch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and then zoom back in. All right, I think I'm back. Wow. So once again, I had another wonderful computer issue. But I think I'm back online. Go ahead and check my screen. Yep. Okay. So I hear myself. We're back to. I apologize for that, guys. My computer's been messing up again. So yeah, had to restart everything. Literally everything. All right. Perfect. If my hangout is still up. All right, because I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta make a new hangout. So give me 1 second. Yes, I am back. All right, perfect. Yeah, my computer went shit again. as we speak. I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta do a new hangout. Give me a half a second. What I'll do is I'm gonna try to get that video back up and running again, because I think those definitely depict a really needed visual of how it works. Sorry about this. Hangout is gone. Go ahead and make this real quick. Take me 30 seconds. And also, matter of fact, I wanted to do that right away. What I wanted to do is I wanted to show you guys the other alternative to the Hangouts. I've used it before a while ago. I know a lot of there's other streams that do use it. That would be the Zoom. I actually think it's better. The only reason I don't use it is only because I know a lot of people aren't too sure about it, and that kind of makes them nervous, so they don't really use it too often. To show you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and show the Zoom really quick so you guys can see that. This there. All right, perfect. Let me go ahead and share this real quick for you guys. So anybody that wants to jump in the chat or onto the panel, blah 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 blah. Here you go. What's up, Chris? This is Sean. I'm back to the globe. You're right. It's spinning ball. uh, there we go. All right, so let me see here. So everything is good to go. Hangout's ready to go. So if you want to jump on the panel, it's there. Open topic. It doesn't really matter. For anybody just getting here, no, I am not back to Earth. What's up, Chris? How you doing, sir? Let me make sure everyone can hear you in the chat real quick. I can hear you here. I just want to make sure on that side. Okay, now everyone should be able to hear you. All right, say something. You want to say something real quick? All right, so everyone should be able to hear you good. All right, perfect. So, how you doing, sir? Well, doing the kid duties. I see how that could happen. What was I gonna say? So yeah, well, I'm not gonna go ahead and take your back to the globe seriously. You're too deep. You're way too deep. You have so much vested into that atmosphere idea. I don't feel it. I don't feel the truth. But I did want I want to have a conversation with you about that atmosphere idea you had. So I do hope you still hold it. Okay. Yeah. It just doesn't work for you. Oh, it just hurts. It hurts yourself. Well, hang on 1 second because they're saying they can't hear you. Doesn't make sense. I'm seeing you talk. Oh. Yeah, I'm on my OBS, and I normally use it exactly like I am right now. It's just it's not working right. So I'm playing on the other side. Hang on 1 second. Okay, there you go. Pretty sure they. All right, here we go. I think I just heard you. All right, yeah. Okay, they can hear you now. Nope, not even a little bit. I don't think anyone. Hang on. God damn it. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. You're not doing. Okay, so what's happening is I literally the only I'm hearing everything through my headphones like I'm supposed to. Check that one off. It makes sense. Don't. That's bouncing. Okay, go give me a check real quick. All right, give me 2 seconds, Phil. Second. Yeah, see, I'm still not getting. Give me a second. I'm going to my other headphones. Or second. All right, that should do it on this end. Let me go ahead and. I know they can't hear you. Give me 1 second. Everything will be back to normal again. All right, go ahead and talk. They should be able to hear you now. You don't have to repeat yourself on that end, but give me 37. Take it one more time. Checking it right now. How old are you? Oh yeah, see, that's the same age though. They can't say that doesn't count that way. Run DMC. Uh, I think so. Vaguely, vaguely do. Yeah. I remember that. Man, I don't see why the hell they can't hear you. Everything's set on my. I hope not. I shouldn't need to. I'm sitting here because so everything's set up to my desktop, which is my headset, which is what everyone else should be hearing off of, but for some reason they're not. Ah, I know what it is. Hang on. I see exactly what it is. A second. Okay. All right. Now I know everyone will hear you in either. Go ahead and say check real quick. Okay. Now I'm pretty sure everyone hears you. If it's not, I don't know what the hell it could be, but all my settings are back. I had OBS open twice. That's what it was. So now everyone should definitely be able. So, no, yeah. So when what would happen is when my computer shut down on me, the programs don't shut down, but everything restarts. So when I came back online and I clicked on OBS, the original OBS was still running. It was still interlocked with the YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So like it'll work 10 times, no problem. But then out of nowhere, it'll just stop running. All the fucking controls will be off. It just sucks ass. Yeah, it happens everywhere. Almost positive they can hear you now. If not, then I know exactly what I got to do to switch it over. So yeah, I'll make sure that they can hear you before you say anything and have to repeat it again. Or so.
In fact, this could be an April Fool's
joke. Yeah, I'll make sure that they can hear you before.
Well, you'd be able to hear
it before you say anything and have to repeat it again. You would hear yourself already.
I'm on my phone, so I'm not on the YouTube.
Or so.
In fact, this could be an April Fool's joke.
I'll make sure. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, if I suddenly drop, it just means my wife got home.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, they can hear you 100%. I know for a fact now.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, you asked me. In fact, this could be an April Fool's joke.
I'll make sure.
You know, if I'm back on the ball. Okay, and by the way, if I suddenly drop, it just means my wife. And I said, well, because I'm seeing curves. I just seen curve everywhere these days. Like it's in my dreams. And I got sick the other day, and I went to the doctor. You know, they said, well, what were you doing? And I said, well, I was just standing still. And she said, well, you got nauseous? I said, yeah. Well, and she's like, well, were you okay, you were just standing still. So did you take into account the spin of the earth? And I said, oh my God. I said, I hadn't standing still. And she said, hold on one second. Hey, I'm back. Sorry. So, I was diagnosed with Earth spin syndrome. So that was like a proof for me. Why are you laughing? It's a serious condition.
I just don't think it is. I think you have a better chance of passing off your atmosphere quest than anyone believing you're a glober again.
No, I don't buy that anymore. There's no atmosphere at all. You're right. There's no atmosphere. Like we should be able to see forever. It's all true.
Well, I'm just saying, Well, it's good to have you back. But
anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't even work for me. I tried. I was telling people earlier, I backed to flat Earth.
It's hard, isn't it?
Didn't even want to try. They didn't even want to listen to me. I thought I was all just full of shit anyway.
Well, of course, April Fools. Everybody's doing that or trying to do something like that. So.
And I'm realizing as I get older, it's not fun anymore. Just not fun.
It's a little bit fun.
I can't. Yeah, but it doesn't work the same. See, for instance, I don't know how old your kids are, but my son, he's 11 years old, so he's fully engulfed in April Fools. So if, you know, out the gate, it's, hey dad, guess what? And it's like, okay, I'm ready for it. So when I do it, I feel like I'm just pushing it too hard. It's like, yeah, no one's gonna believe me. No one. I don't think one person was like, "Are you serious? Are you really back?" They're all just like April Fools, right? Like, you, the only way it works is if you catch somebody and they don't know it's April Fool.
Right. Well, which happens, right?
Occasionally. I think you're like, may. All right, doesn't matter. Either way, yeah. So I can get this on the screen. I wanted to show you guys that the video correctly that I had. We'll do that until Chris comes back.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be popping it out a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. What I was doing is, well, actually, it's perfect. I wanted you to see as well. You remember I think it was, yeah. So a couple days ago when I was streaming, I was doing the I was showing different little drawings that I had done when it came to like showing why you don't see the curve. Did you see that one? You didn't? Oh, yeah. But okay, so go ahead and share it real quick so everyone see it.
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. No, I didn't see that.
All right, well, I'll share it real quick and then I'll play it, because this is, I mean, this to a T explains exactly why you don't see curve at all. Go ahead and put here.
Well, but on which axis?
Well, no matter, that's the trick question of it all. Doesn't matter.
Well, because if you ask someone like Family, they'll say you can see the curve in his videos and pictures.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess I'm still not following what you mean by you can't see the curve.
All right, hang on. All right, there you go. Okay, so this is what I'm showing right now. It would be depicted of what you see right now. When you look around, it looks flat, right? That's pretty clear. Nice little makeshift building. And if you see on the left of the building, that's actually a guy. I made that guy. I'm so proud of him. But just check it out real quick. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. It doesn't get no clearer than that. Exactly why, excuse me, why we see no curve. All right. Again. And I'll go ahead and I'll play it again on the side so that you guys can still see it. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt to me the confusion that's happening. Reason you don't see curve is too small. The way gravity works, it works exactly as it's depicted. The reason you don't see curve works exactly as is described. Reason you can see further, that higher in your elevation shows why we know there's a curve. How you're able to depict whether or not there's a curve for yourself. You don't even need to listen to science. That's my favorite part about it. You don't have to listen to science. You know where we live. In fact, you can go against everything science is about, and it'll work. How you doing, sir?
Hello.
I don't think I've met you before, Barney, right?
You've met me before.
I have. Do you have a different
Yes.
name?
No, I've always been Barney Tearsbelt. You've even introduced me to other people as, oh, he's a globe earther, but he's the good kind.
Ah, okay. Maybe it's probably because I haven't seen your avatar. But,
fair enough. Here's my avatar.
Oh, there. Okay, perfect. I know exactly who you are. How you doing, sir?
That works.
You know, I'm back to the globe, right?
You're back to the globe, or you're
Yes.
back to the plane? Because it says I'm back to FE again.
Yes, that's my April Fool title.
That makes sense.
I refuse. I will not go back to the globe. The way I see it is it's not going to happen because
you will not go back to the globe.
I will not go back to flat Earth. I'm no longer a flat earther. I've come to the realization, and I understand how it works now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know today is a very confusing day because you're ready for everyone to say April Fools, but I promise you, I am a glober now. I've been for about 3 months now. 3 months. So now I'm just trying to show all my friends that it's not flat, and explain why it's not flat.
Yeah, I've been sitting on the benches, looking at it go. No, it's really hard if you need to go all the way back to explaining what gravity is and how it is, and somebody's just yelling at you, no such thing as gravity.
Yeah, and the best to me, the worst part about that is just in the fact that you go, okay, let's just say gravity isn't real. Let's just pretend. Then what is it? Why does this happen? And then they'll say stuff like, I don't know, atmosphere. Okay, that's not an explanation for it. But you realize you have to have an alternative and explain it to say that gravity isn't real or it's not there. It just doesn't make sense.
No, I'm fine with starting with gravity isn't real, right? There is no gravity. We're just observing things go in a certain direction, preferentially, right? Except helium balloons and stuff like that. And then the explanation comes of buoyancy, density. Well, what is buoyancy? Buoyancy is gravity pulling heavier things down so that lighter things go up. Oh, damn it. How do you explain buoyancy without gravity? How do you explain the change of density without gravity?
Yeah, that's another thing I don't think they realize. It's not like they say they've made this up and it's fake and it's not real. But the problem is all the things that it's called and all the things that describe it do so according. Like, if you can't make all these things up and put them together and be able to be checked and them to still be false. Like the equations for gravity, they're equations for a reason. They're not equations because they decided to make them up and give them to us as this end force. But what they definitely did is make an equation that probably was wrong at first, and they worked it and they tested it and they did different experiments to figure out the correct equation, and to the one we have today, mass equals well, you know what I mean, figure out gravity. But
and the thing is, we're probably still wrong to some degree.
Well, I know we are.
Yeah, we're better. We're describing it more precisely than before, and more precisely and more precisely. But there will always be an error. Yeah. And depending on how you describe it. Like, yes, if you want me to give you a 2-sentence explanation, then we'll be talking about forces. But if you want me to tell you what gravity is as we understand it now, well, it's not a force. There is no force in gravity. There is no force of gravity. It's just curvature of space-time. It's such that your path and the path of Earth are intersecting if you're near the Earth. And the Earth is so large that it's pushing you aside and it's accelerating you upwards.
Yeah,
that's weird to think about.
Yeah.
It's weird to wrap your head around.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. When it's described, and I see it because it was one of the things that made me go, yeah, that sounds ridiculous, was when someone tried to explain to me all the motions that Earth is on a constant. It was like, that doesn't work because of, how does the Earth, how come we don't feel any of it? And the realization that, like, and I didn't know this when I was a flat earther, but the fact that you don't feel speed should be a complete and easy way of knowing why you don't feel this Earth spin. Because that kind of gets frustrating when someone's talking to you, you're trying to convey to them, hey, guess what? This is why, and they completely just kind of brush it aside as if you never had said it.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. It's more frustrating because now when I talk to someone that I thought was really looking for honest truth, this weird disconnect happens, and talking to them is like pointless because then they talk to you like you didn't just answer that question, that you're getting that response like they had never heard someone ask it before.
And that's kind of that's the point where I put a lot of blame on so-called globers, on people who consider themselves as normal people having a normal position and being in the position of to be rightly outraged at how stupid you are for dodging the question or dodging the answer, but I don't know, just you do have to somehow drop it, get over yourself, get over the fact that you think you're right because the other person also thinks they're right, and kind of start from the top. Okay, so we know that linear motion does not convey a sense of movement. If you're in an enclosed space, if you're in a train, you can feel the train shaking, but you don't feel which way the train is moving unless it's accelerating or decelerating. So all you're detecting is changes of motion. You're not detecting the motion itself.
Exactly.
Okay, and as the Earth is spinning, it's moving you at 1,000 miles an hour in one direction constantly, and it is slowly changing your angular momentum by a very, very tiny amount. And that's what you could be sensing or feeling. But that tiny amount is incomparable to the pull to the pull of the gravity, to the amount that the mass that you're near to is drawing you in. So you still feel being pulled down much more than being pushed out by the centrifugal force, the lack of centrifugal force.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, again, that's the crazy part. And I just realized it. How would you even, any of us shouldn't be able to have an alternative for gravity, because gravity works. Now, again, it doesn't work in all situations. My biggest issue with it is that it somehow stops at the galaxy, at the edge of our galaxy. And then once
it doesn't.
Well, no. Well, kind of. So, the way I read it, so the center of our galaxy and the outer edges of our galaxy rotate at the exact same speed, and then instead of having that, the galaxies and stars, or the galaxies, the stars and planets flinging off into the universe as it rotates, it actually holds, and it's basically dark matter, dark energy. It's they that's basically that's the placeholder for why that happens, and that's kind of where I would assume gravity stops. Not gravity stops. I'm sorry. Where the effects of gravity as it is here something else starts happening. I have an issue with that only because I don't understand why, or I understand why it could have, the equation can only matter till that spot, but doesn't that also mean that gravity isn't what we thought it was?
So the theories of modified gravity have pretty much been discounted in the last couple of years.
Because of dark energy, dark matter?
So dark energy doesn't have a lot to do with what we're talking about.
Okay.
Dark energy is just the expansion of space on the largest scales, and it doesn't come into play here.
Okay.
So your description of the motion of the galaxy is close enough. It's not that they're spinning at exactly the same rate. It's just that if you take gravity alone as we know it, and you look at the visible matter in the galaxy and sum it all up into what we can estimate the mass of the galaxy to be, then the things on the edges are moving faster than they should. They're not moving as fast as the center, but they're moving faster than they should be.
Okay.
So you can add in a bit of mass by saying, well, not everything that we see is a star, or there are things that we don't see, which are gas clouds and debris and planets. So you can increase that mass by some amount and some black holes and stuff like that. But the distribution is wrong. So there must be some mass which is not only inside the galaxy, but also outside of the galaxy to describe that motion. And when that was discovered, that mass which is outside the galaxy and completely invisible got the placeholder name of dark matter. Now, another way it could work is what you're describing is there is no dark matter, but gravity behaves differently outside on larger scales, right? The formula that we have works on some scale, but on larger scales, it modifies in some way. Now that has been discounted in the last few years. First and most notably by the discovery of the Bullet Nebula, where you can see that the collision of the two galaxies which pass through each other, that the mass has moved with them, that the gravitational lensing is obviously moved with them, but you can see that most of the mass of the colliding gas, which is exerting the infrared radiation, is stuck between them. So all of the masses between them, all of the measurable visible masses between them, but all of the lensing has simply passed through each other without. And that was a nail in the coffin of most modified gravity theories, like including my own. You can just scratch off whatever you were thinking before that, because there is no modified gravity which can do that. The further nails that came and are still coming recently, there was a discovery like a couple of weeks ago of another galaxy with no dark matter. Like there are galaxies have various amounts of dark matter regardless of how much light matter they have. Some have a lot, some have a little, some have none, some have huge amounts, right?
Didn't they think that it was like those were like the building blocks to galaxies, though?
What were the building blocks?
Dark matter, I think, or dark energy. Maybe I'm thinking of dark energy. One of the two is one of the ideas that they have is that it's what builds galaxies.
So dark matter. So in all of our simulations of space which work. Like when you put in the laws of nature that we know, the way to get galaxies to form in the patterns that we see them in the sky and in the shapes that we see them in the sky, you have to have dark matter. Like there is no successful computer simulation of the universe without dark matter.
Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, so it's so when would you, so in our livable future, do you see a gravity being or I don't even know how to say it. How do you say it? You see gravity, a different version, I guess you would say, of gravity in our lifetime, or is this something that it's going to take 100 years before it makes a difference?
So there is definitely an expected difference. We know that general relativity, which explains gravity, which gives us these phenomenal, incredibly precise calculations about how things move, that we can do and verify to an enormous degree, and quantum physics on the other end of the spectrum, which gives us these tremendously precise predictions which can be verified, that they don't work well together. There is something missing. However, that doesn't mean that when we find that something, that we get to throw away everything of what we know. Gravity will not be thrown away; will be amended in the same way that Einstein didn't actually disprove Newton. He didn't just nix him and say you're wrong about everything.
Well, it was almost because I really started looking into that, because it to me personally, I think the Newtonian theory is a really good explanation for someone like myself who isn't very technical, needs a very simple explanation for how to explain it. Whereas in Einstein is obviously a lot more complicated. Maybe you should probably have a great understanding of gravity and be able to extend your understanding of it in using Einstein. I don't see how they would actually count. Like, how does Einstein, or why would Einstein's not, or how would that disprove Newton?
So it disproved him on several counts. So Newton's mathematics assumes that gravity is instantaneous, that it's transmitted instantaneously.
So it's like it's always there.
No, it's regardless of the distance. If there is a change, like if you wobble Earth, that will be sensed instantaneously at any distance.
Oh, right? Okay, I see.
Okay, yeah. And Einstein showed that no, even gravity obeys the speed of light, and it will take time for those changes to propagate and reach a distant observer.
Oh, and kind of like the idea that if something happened to the sun, it would take 8 seconds after the event.
8 minutes.
8 minutes after the event. So that, okay.
Yeah. So under Newton, it would take 8 minutes for us to see what happened.
Yeah.
But the Earth would instantly be released from orbit.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because there's no mass there.
There's no mass there. There's no gravity. Like if you just deleted the sun, that's impossible. But let's say you could somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. So under Einstein, it would happen immediately. Under Newton, it would happen immediately. Einstein showed that no, it would leave orbit only when the light reaches us. So that has side effects, and those side effects are gravitational waves. If things have a delay, even if it's such a fast delay, it means that space will literally wobble in between. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just so I'm clear, so the way Einstein described it, the reason we wouldn't just leave that orbit is because of our gravity well that we produce. or
it's literally the effects of gravity, the curvature,
that's
the
what I
way
meant.
that the space is displaced by matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't just instantly pop back up when there's a change.
Okay.
Or doesn't just instantly shift. There is a lag to it. It takes time to propagate.
So wouldn't Einstein's theory just modify Newton's?
Yes, it would.
Okay,
it would.
so that means that Newton's isn't debunked or anything or thrown away. It's just only explains to a certain point.
Yeah, it's incomplete. It's insufficient. It works well. It works phenomenally well under certain restrictions, right? If the speed at which you're moving is so slow and your mass is so little that you can just ignore the overall curvature. Let's put it this way. This shape here is roughly a circle, right?
Yeah.
And when you take a look at it like this, you can say it's a circle. But if you measure it very, very finely, you will find that there are some deformations, and it's not exactly as wide as it's long, and there's little bumps. And so Newton's theory is saying that this is a circle, and Einstein's theory is saying, oh, I can tell you where each atom of this is. And it'll work wherever and however you measure.
Okay, I see.
So it's much more fine-grained. It'll cover a lot more of the edge cases, right? Of extreme circumstance where Newton literally wouldn't have an answer for you, or his answer would be wrong. And that was known well before Einstein. We knew that there was something wrong with Newton because of the orbit of Mercury.
Oh, the way it's not a good even orbit. It's like that weird shape, right?
Yeah. So for all the planets that are far enough from the sun, Newton got them perfectly. Like you can use Newton for all orbital mechanics and putting a spacecraft from Earth to Jupiter, which is a huge amount of space and interactions. Like you can pinpoint where that spacecraft will be within a couple of kilometers, which is tremendously precise, right? But when you get so close to the sun as Mercury is, and calculate what the orbit of Mercury should be, and then measure what the orbit of Mercury is, it's like, so it's an ellipse, but it's also turning slowly. The whole ellipse is turning slowly as Mercury is going around. That's called the precession of Mercury. And that's because literally the time so close to the sun is moving slightly slower, because the space-time is distorted. So its movement has a different clock than what we would expect here on Earth. And you cannot calculate it correctly. So,
okay, I see.
And that was known well before Einstein. We knew that there was a problem. We knew that Mercury was behaving at odds with Newton's theory, and that there was something wrong with Newton's theory so near to a source of gravity.
Okay.
We knew that there was something wrong with it at extreme speeds and extreme energies. And Einstein managed to solve all of that so that we could, and that was like the first indicators that he was right, was that he got the perfect exact orbit of Mercury, such as we see it from Earth. He made a whole bunch of predictions, such as that light would curve and that next to the sun you would see stars displaced by literally the mass of sun, by the gravity of the sun displacing light. So you would see stars move. That was the second, and that was the first experimental confirmation of Einstein's theory. because they hunted down what are they called, solar eclipses, and measured the stars around the sun where they should be and where they actually are. And so one of the predictions was what I was talking about, was gravitational waves. So Einstein calculated what these things mean. He showed through his calculations that gravity should move at the speed of light, and that therefore there should be this effect of gravitational waves, which should displace space and time over tremendous distances when large enough masses move at large enough speeds. And we detected that just a couple of years back, 100 years after he described it mathematically.
And that's LIGO, right?
And that's LIGO.
Okay.
And the alignment of that is phenomenal with his original.
Okay. So,
but still due to quantum physics, we know there's something wrong either with the description of gravity or with the description of quantum physics, or both, or there is something there that we don't understand. And that's the same indication about Einstein's theory that Mercury was about Newton's theory, right? We know there's something there. We don't know what, and we don't know how to solve it, but we know there's something there.
Okay. Now, this is going to be an unfair question, because obviously if it was answerable, I wouldn't have this question. What could it be? What could the dark matter be? Now, I know you're not going to be able to say what it is, and that's kind of a super loaded question.
I cannot tell you what it is because we don't know, but there have been and there are multiple candidates. So some of the earliest candidates were, well, there's just a lot more black holes than we assume, and they're kind of everywhere, right? Yeah. Because that mass, that it has to be more or less spread out in and outside of the galaxy, but it doesn't. How do I put this? It doesn't have to be undetectable, untouchable. It can be a lot of rocks, right? Mm. But then we have ways of testing whether it could be rocks and what we would expect to see.
Yeah.
Another possibility was neutrinos, the smallest and the lightest of particles, which are generated by nuclear decay, by every star and every nuclear process, which are almost massless and almost moving at the speed of light, and there's millions and millions going through every inch of your body right now, and you're not detecting them. Well, that sounds precisely like dark matter. However, there's not nearly enough of them. We can detect them with huge detectors. We can measure how many of them are. We can extrapolate from what we can measure how many we haven't measured.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not nearly enough of them. So there are two kind of models which are still standing after being proposed in the 50s, I think, or 60s, which are machos and wimps. And one of those came first. This is where I get vague on the details. I haven't been following it. So it's basically either it's a lot of very small special particles or a bit of large, heavy special particles. Ones are machos, the others are wimps.
Well, but it would most likely be the smaller ones, because to me, what it seems like is it's a new particle, something that we've never seen before.
So we can. So it's very easy to say, "Oh, it's likely this because it makes sense to me because of this." And that's how you form speculation, and that's what scientists do. They form speculations. They do the math from the speculation. Right? So if it's this, then it would behave like this, and I could expect, oh, I would find an anomaly somewhere, something that I can measure. If I can find something that I can measure, then I have a hypothesis, right? Then my speculation is no longer a speculation. Even if it's really hard to measure, I can just ask for funding and try for years and try to, if I can see that anomaly. If I can see that anomaly, awesome. I have validated my hypothesis. It's a standing hypothesis. How well I can confirm it, how much doubt I can remove by measurement is how strong the hypothesis becomes.
Yeah.
Now, of all of those, that's the part where we don't know. We have several standing hypotheses, models which mathematically accurately describe our universe to the limits of our current ability to measure them. And we're looking for ways to measure even finer, to measure at greater distances, to reduce uncertainty, because it's not merely that well, I can measure finer. No, I can measure very, very fine with a very large uncertainty and be very confused with the outcome.
Yeah.
I also need to reduce the uncertainty. And yes, certain models are being eliminated and cut off as, well, this simply doesn't work. We have to throw it away. And we're reducing the set. New ideas are coming up.
If it was a new particle, let's just say, how would you get that particle to study? You know what I mean? Like if they were like, okay, it's doing stuff we've never seen, it doesn't even have a signature of anything we know of. I mean, how do you get a particle that you've never seen?
Sometimes you don't. So
it would only try to figure out how it works.
No, there are particles which we have never seen, which we have never directly observed.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you, let's say you're in the dark and you can just barely see a figure of a woman in a white dress with her arm outreached, spinning around that arm. Like from that, you can surmise that she's holding hands with somebody who is spinning in the opposite direction, whom you cannot see, who is dressed in black, right?
Mm.
You can see her because she's dressed in white. She reflects just enough light for you to see her,
yeah.
But you can find out a lot about that other person who is holding her by measuring her. Like if you can estimate her weight, if you can estimate her mass, you can find out his mass.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Right? If you can see at what angle she holds her hand, you can find out his height. And you can find out certain details. And even though you will never observe him directly, you can find out a lot about him.
Yeah, okay, I see.
So a lot of the particles that the few of the particles in the standard model that we know about fall into that category. Quarks have never been observed individually because quarks cannot exist individually.
Yeah.
They are connected to each other by the strong nuclear force, which is so strong that if you took one quark and another quark and put a weight on the other quark, then the force you would need to separate just two quarks from each other is something like 16 tons for subatomic particles. By the time you put that much force into that connection, you have put in more than enough energy to just generate two more particles. So they will just
just become stronger.
This one will go away, but it will have its new pair that has been generated from the energy that you're in. And so you have never seen an individual quark. But what you have seen the particle zoo, which has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of particles, which all have regularities,
Yeah.
and those regularities uncover the underlying regularity, which is described and explained by those particles that we call quarks.
Okay.
Now, right, and in the same analogy with the dancer that I used before, we can tell a lot about them without measuring them directly, by measuring the entire particle zoo and seeing which things interact with which things in which way.
They almost like they'll tag tag an observation, and they'll know which particle does what, and then it will kind of all make sense once they've put all the pieces together. That'd be a way of them knowing that one particle doesn't do more than they think it does. Everything kind of has its own little course, basically.
Yeah. And when you notice periodicity in things, when you notice that this thing behaves this way, and this thing behaves this way, and this thing behaves this way, there is a distinct pattern in them, and you can surmise that there are things in between. And you can kind of start describing the properties of things that might be in between, even though you haven't seen them yet, right? But when you find those regularities for the dancers that you have neither seen nor detected, but like if you see the white dancer and the black dancer, and from the white dancer and the black dancer, you notice that they're dodging something constantly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
You can also surmise that there is something there that they're dodging. And you can calculate roughly where it is or roughly how large it is, not precisely, but then you can devise more experiments and more measurements to narrow it down.
Yeah.
And basically, when they were hunting for the Higgs, they were doing that same thing. They were like, we know it's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
We know it should be between these energies. We know, well, we can try this energy, and we can try this energy, and we can try this, and eliminate different mathematical models that work until there's just a few left. And then they found the signal. And the signal is not for Higgs. The signal is for a side product of a side product of a decay of a Higgs, right? But it fits mathematically, it describes one of those models, it eliminates all the others, and it's a direct detection of that aligns with the math, which works for everything else. Therefore, yeah, we found it.
And that's why things are modified, because they don't lose any part of the equation; they add to the equation. Now, I could see where the issue would be that. So, I think so the biggest way that I remember it happening, and I don't understand why. And one of the issues I had with gravity when I was a flat earther. So, I watched a video by PBS, I think it was. They had run like a series of explaining things in the universe and whatnot, and they were explaining the shape of the universe. And I have a very good understanding. I think I have a decent understanding of how they detected the shape and what they mean by the shape of it. Because it's not just because basically for everyone it's flat. They think the universe is flat. That doesn't mean it's not going in all directions, but everything is going in a flat, a straight direction. Nothing is going in a sphere, nothing's going in this blah blah blah. But when I watched it, how they got to it being flat confused me, because the way I interpreted it was, when you do it with regular math, regular equations, it's like a saddle. It's not even flat. It's like a weird saddle. But it can't be a saddle, because I guess gravity wouldn't allow it. It's just the way gravity works, I guess. That's one of the confusing parts, so maybe you can help me out there. But they added the graviton. Or am I wrong?
So graviton is a possible solution if you look from the perspective of quantum physics, right? If you look that in quantum physics, every interaction is a force, every force has a field, and every field has its underlying particle, and every particle is the communicator of that field, then gravity must have a field. And if it has a field, then it has a particle. That particle will just randomly call graviton because all the force particles have an on, and this is gravity, so it's graviton. We know what bosons, what force carriers look like, so it has to have an even numbered spin. So we can in the same way that we can derive certain properties of the tensor, we can derive, if that particle exists, what those properties would be. It has to have spin 0. It has to it has to have spin 0. Well, never mind. What were we talking about? About the shape of the universe. So there's a couple of gravitons don't really have a lot to do with the shape of the universe. The shape. One thing that's really important to recognize is that it's not a 3-dimensional shape; it's a 4-dimensional shape. Right? You're not looking at the shape of space; you're looking at the shape of space-time, because the curvature is not merely a curvature of space; it is the curvature of space-time. How they measured it is they tried to measure the angles between triangles, right? So the angles of a triangle, and they just found a way to chart out a huge triangle practically across the entire universe in such a way that they could be certain to tiny fraction of a degree what its angles add up to. What you were talking about is, yes, so if you just look from Earth and measure that angle, it looks like it's saddle-shaped. However, if you take into account all the gravitational lensing and all the curvature that light would have already acquired on the way to get us simply due to gravitational lensing, and then you compensate for it, it turns out the triangle has almost exactly 180 degrees. So it's not 180, it's 180 plus minus this little bit. And to the best of our measurements, yes, that's the curvature is almost exactly 1. It's as flat as we can measure.
Okay, so, but didn't they had to add something to it?
Yes, the corrections of gravitational lensing.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's not the graviton.
That's not the graviton.
Okay. So then I okay. So, then what is a graviton?
I've just.
Oh, okay. That confuses me. So I got the last part. I understand now why it's not graviton.
Yeah. So
and how I misheard on that.
Graviton, again, if you assume that it's a force and it has field, therefore it should have a particle. And if it does have a particle, based on all the other particles of that type, all the force-carrying particles, we can surmise certain attributes of gravitons, if gravitons exist. Now, that doesn't mean that gravitons exist. No. The thing where gravitons gained a lot of popularity, where they suddenly became, oh, we really should be thinking about this, is when the mathematical model of string theory came to be. While they were trying to figure out the mess with quarks, how the strong force works and how does it interact, how does all of that work, one model was kind of proposed that worked out a bit of math in a very elegant way for the strong force, and that was the origin of string theory. Now, it had a bit of a problem. It described an extra particle that we don't detect, that we don't see. And more problems were found later. And that string theory, that initial string theory describing the strong force alone, was discounted. A couple of physicists came back to the idea and kind of checked what were the side effects, what was it that broke it, what was it that they were trying to avoid. And it turns out that the particle described in the math, the string which was described in the math, perfectly fits those predicted properties of gravitons.
Okay, I see. Okay,
and the reason why string theory became popular in the first place, before it was shown that it can describe everything, was, hey, this kind of really well describes quantum physics, and it unavoidably creates a particle which looks exactly like a graviton. Maybe that's the solution to the conflict between Einstein and
okay. So it's the same thing as dark matter. It's just maybe a step ahead of where dark matter is right now, in the scientific process of it. In layman's terms, basically.
Yeah.
Because
so it's been worked on for longer, and we have kind of more ideas. String theory has its own problems. The biggest problem with it is that it's not that it can't produce our universe and our particles and gravity and all of that. It's that it can produce various different universes and various different forms of gravity. And it's kind of like, to every question that you ask that you know the answer to, it gives you, like, if you ask it, is this the correct answer? It'll tell you yes. But if you ask it a thing which doesn't exist, ask it, is this the correct answer? It'll also tell you yes. So it kind of
okay, I get it now. Yeah,
it kind of agrees with too much, right? Yeah. It explains everything and a lot more.
Yeah, there's a big space at the end of it, and you know there's an end, but it's nowhere near that big space. So you got to fill it all in before you can figure it out, basically.
Right. That's kind of analogously, if I have a theory of gravity which describes why I'm falling down at the acceleration of 10 meters per second, that's awesome. However, if that same theory also describes why I'm falling upwards at 12 meters per second, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Thank God for science.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at now, where I'm like, I got that basic Newtonian idea of how gravity works, and the time-space thing kind of confuses me, in that obviously I'm not as smart as any of you guys, and it's not so much as it's shown to us, unless I'm wrong. When they give you that example of the time-space warp, where they put like the little marbles on the sheet, and that's lower at the very bottom, and it kind of goes in the circle, and you can see how it works. The orbital works, and then it drops into the middle. That kind of how, like, see, that's like, those are the things that confuse me. Like when you're talking about Einstein's, theory, and it changes from the masses and now goes to space is time warped, whatever. How do you observe that?
So one thing that can help you wrap your head around this, especially for special relativity, is look at look up what are they called? Lorentz transformations, like graphical representations of Lorentz transformations, where you have time on one axis and space on one axis, and description of what space-time is and how things transform when you move at speed.
Okay.
Those things you can figure out without doing the math. It does take a little bit of brain bending, and once you figure that out, general relativity, like how gravity works, how that time dilation and space dilation and the speed of light works, it's all available from a single visual graph that you can solve on your own.
Yeah.
On a piece of paper without doing any math.
Yeah, I know. I think I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah.
How do we test it? Using really precise clocks and using really precise measurements. Because when you figure out the math of it, you can show in which cases the clocks would go out of alignment and in which ways. And then if you can make a very precise clock and put one here and one here, you should be able to measure their exact difference. Right? And again, there was very recently a lucky mishap that one of the GPS satellites was put in the wrong orbit, and it didn't go around the Earth at a constant level, but it was wobbling wildly up and down. And that was a real mess up for the satellite and for GPS, and an awesome opportunity to measure very precisely how time moves at one altitude versus another, depending on the distance of the distance from the source of gravity.
Okay.
And they have been able to confirm another, I don't know, 10 decimal places of precision within the general theory of relativity due to a fuck up. due to a malfunctioning rocket which was taking that satellite to orbit.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to share my screen because I want to make sure what you're talking about is definitely what I know. So I don't. This is. I'm not sure if you can see my screen, or what I'm sharing at least. This is a good depiction of what you're saying, right? Is the time, space, in space, in time, and then space time. That's pretty much a good. Okay, so just so so I'm clear on it. So when we see the movement in space, this would be, say, the moon or stars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the movement in time is obviously the time that from our observation.
Yes.
So when they're saying that, does that mean the ISS was able to measure, make a same observation on a star, for instance? Are they going to see it differently?
Depending on its movement, yes, you will see a redshift, which will tell you what its internal clock is and how it's moving away from you.
Okay.
But to calibrate that, you kind of need a clock. So what is being shown in the diagrams that you're showing, right? We all constantly move through time. That's the middle one.
Yeah.
If you're just standing still and doing absolutely nothing, moving in no direction whatsoever relative to any given coordinate system that you choose to, you will still be moving through time in a certain way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
and
you are
movement through space is just left and right. The first diagram shows literally teleportation, instantaneous transfer of movement through space. Right?
Okay.
So if I move through space this way, and I'm always moving through time this way, I expect to be moving at an angle to space-time, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what special theory of relativity tells us And what Lorentz transformations do, they show that when you move through space relative to a coordinate system, movement through time changes. So a second for somebody standing still in the picture 2, and for somebody moving in picture 3, those 2 seconds will not align. Not only that, their measure of how long a meter is will not align, and not only that, their measure of what has happened simultaneously to them, what concurrent events have happened all at the same time will be different.
Okay.
Those are the 3 violations that happen in space-time, that happen in special relativity.
Okay.
Now, there are a couple of really good videos on YouTube which animate the whole thing and walk you through the process of figuring out how to see it from one system to the other and how it works, and like you literally can figure it all out from those, and from like there's I can't really show you, right? The couple of graphs above that in the top row are showing the Lorentz transformations and how a thing changes when you change the reference frame.
Okay, so
what I was going to say was, when you figure out how that works, it suddenly becomes painfully obvious why you can't reach the speed of light. Because, so here's an example. If one thing is going at the speed of light in that direction, and another at half the speed of light in that direction, and another is going at half the speed of light in that direction, you would say that relative to each other, they must be moving at the speed of light, right? Okay. Half and half is 1.
Yeah.
But when you figure out Lorentz transformations, and you see when you change the point of view to any of those, it doesn't come up to 1, it comes to 0.75. And as much as if they move at 99 and 99% the speed of light, you add those together, you will be expecting to get almost 2, but no, you get 0.9998. Because the transformation is nonlinear. And within that transformation, there is a conserved quantity. When you take both the time and space together, the intervals at which they move are constant, are the fixed points, are what we imagine seconds and meters to be from our experience. So seconds are kind of changing, meters are kind of changing, but there is a quantity there which is completely conserved throughout, and that's space-time. It's a space-time interval, and that's shared amongst all viewers in all reference systems and all speeds and everything. That's the coordinate system that we're measuring the curvature on. Right? It's not just that the space is displaced. It's not just that the time is displaced. It's that the space-time itself, that conserved quantity, gets displaced by gravity. And then straight lines in a straight movement, lines of straight movement can intersect even though they started off as parallel. In the same way that moving across the curved surface of the Earth, right? If you start off parallel, you can still have them intersecting and meet at some point because the space-time is curved. And that's what they were measuring when they were measuring the overall shape of the universe.
Okay. Starting to get it now. Yeah. While I was looking through those through the little graphs on the sheet, found obviously I don't know how to use this graph right now because it looks complicated, but I know what you were saying. What you're saying is this graph basically, or how they would figure it out. Correct? Like
I'm not. I think. Wait. Let me see your screen. Where is it? No. Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because
Yes.
I put the website inside the chat, so they have it there. I'm sure I'll put it in this chat too, so you can just see, if you wanted to look at it. But it's an interactive one. It's one that you can actually add stuff to and do things with like that. Is this something you would use to get a better understanding of it? Like, you know, you described it. So what I would want to do is I want to you can fill in obviously the boxes, and then it will show you. Is this something you can do to figure out?
Yes.
How this works?
Yes, to a degree. I think you would need some understanding of what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And let me try to dig up. I have it. Oh, right. Mint Physics has a great series on this. Intro to Special Relativity. So he built a functioning space-time calculator, like purely mechanically. Let me just share the link to you, and then you can. Where can I? I can put it here. So I put it in the group chat, and you can share it. So it's a 3-part series. Oh, I should have shared the first one. Let's put it this way. So this is really simplified and demonstrated and shown and explained in concepts that are easy to understand. Right? It's not going to make you do the Lorentz transformation calculations, or it'll just explain all the concepts and show you why those things happen in those ways.
Okay. So yeah. So basically, I don't want to show it in regular speed. I've been getting a lot of strikes, or not strikes, just copyright notices, basically, and means nothing. But go ahead and check this out, because I want to kind of go over this stuff as well. I can't really do it on the stream.
No, you can't do it on stream.
Yeah, I basically end up zoning out on one of them. But yeah, so with that, because then my next question would be, and this is kind of a weird one, because I don't even know how I know I don't know how to ask this. So let's just say the start of how gravity's hypothesis basically was that an apple fell on his head, blah blah blah, whether it's true or not, but you know what I mean. Now,
yeah,
when obviously it works on on each and every experiment, test it, it works. What point do you stop but it be law? You know what I mean? So
you never do.
Okay, but
no,
okay.
Even if it's a law, right?
Yeah.
A law in science just means something that consistently holds. Right? It's not prescriptive. It doesn't say, oh, nature, you must behave this way. It simply says, however we know to look at this thing, it behaves in this way. So we call it a law. It seems to be what the nature is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So it's yeah. But as for the models, as for the theories, you never stop testing them. You always look for ways to find flaws, to find cases where that's what science is. Like trying to prove Einstein wrong, trying to prove the strongest possible case that you can find, and then find where it's wrong. Because that's your only claim to fame. That's your only way to accomplish something in science, is to find a flaw and then either resolve that flaw or just point it out if you can't resolve it.
Oh, okay. That's what I don't get, because it's very, I didn't realize it, but it's very obvious that science is set up to debunk itself.
Yes, yes.
On every occasion. I've made it clear to a lot of flat earthers that, because personally at this point, there are no such thing as flat earthers. They don't exist, period. No, there's not one. What we have are globe deniers. Reason being is everything they bring forth to say the globe isn't real, they are getting from our scientists that publish it for them to read.
Yes.
Then, when it comes time to debunk it in their eyes, they just say it doesn't exist. But again, how do you know what you've brought forth is true? If you believe science lies, how do you bring forth evidence from science saying this is why the globe isn't real? Like, how do you distinguish between good and bad science? And I still haven't got an answer. It seems very odd. For instance, I've come across now, and luckily I really didn't come across too many of these type of guys as a flat earther. But these guys, quantum erasers, the guy in the chat, human sheeple, where they've just decided that their science can do whatever they want it to. And because of that, they're able to come up with, there's no gravity. Well, again,
no, that's it. And so that's actually perfectly fine. You can do that. That's not only allowed, that's encouraged, right? It's not being taken seriously by anybody who has delved into this deep enough, because you don't get very far. But on the other hand, if you can get far with that, that would be awesome. If you can do that, if you can show how it works, if you can show that it works better than what we have, if you can chart out better routes for planes, yes, companies will pay you for every liter of kerosene that they save up, because then they can carry more weight. Ship lines, likewise. If you can get better GPS positioning, yes, a whole slew of industries will give you massive amounts of money, resources, just to further your exploration of flat Earth, as long as it leads to something. But just saying, this isn't perfect, therefore it's something completely else, doesn't work unless you have a model, unless you have something that produces theoretical data that can be compared to reality, right? If your model is better at predicting what reality is, and any true model, if you believe sincerely that you hold the truth, then you should vehemently, with all your heart, go seeking how to turn that into a model, because that would be the greatest benefit to humanity. If you sincerely believe that the Earth is flat, go and make a model. Go and make a model which coincides with reality. And that would be science. I absolutely don't mind a science guy, an honest scientific research into the flat
Earth. I don't think it would work.
But yeah, that's the whole problem. It doesn't work, right? If you make the first step and then fail, and then make the second step and then fail, and then throw your arms in the air and say, I don't have a model, fuck you, but I'm right, then okay, cool. Even if I philosophically agreed with you, yes, you're right. The Earth is flat. However, in order to calculate the trajectories of planes, I need to use the globe model. In order to do anything, I need to use the globe model. Then the fact that you're right doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's just becoming clear to me, and it's very scary to me, because if there was a platform, if there was a way for you to prove what you believed to the world, as a lot of the flat earthers want to do, there would be thousands of these people just applying to these science peer reviews or different methods to be able to prove their points and get these out there, especially to expose science to be a lie. I mean, all these people that are convinced they have these alternatives can easily go to, say, any university in their area, any university, and bring this to them, and they'll probably even help them because they'll be contributed to figuring this out.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I think that's going to be where flat Earth really feels the grunt of the problem with flat Earth. Second, someone thinks they have an actual equation for something, so to speak, that proves a flat Earth, they're going to bring it forth, and just because it doesn't work, it's going to be used as, that's how we know science is one-sided. That's how we know how biased they are. That's how we know all they want to do is hide the flat Earth. And the realization is that because it doesn't work. I would think that just like the globe model has, for instance, I can go out and make observations on my own without any technical, technology that I need, that costs a lot of money, and I can make these observations, bring forth those evidences, and still know I live on a globe. So science, I don't need science, or better yet, I don't need the word of scientists to prove that we live on a globe. Now, I can use scientists, what they've published and told me, and I've learned to get to the point faster, maybe. But if I want a true understanding of it, then I have to be able to explain it. I have to be able to break it down. And why wouldn't I use cheat sheets, aka scientists who have done it already? And I can, even though I may not understand a lot of it, I can still break it down and put what my observations I've gotten into their equations, and it will work. It shouldn't work if it's a lie.
Usually in most conversations online, I very much stress the principle of charity, because a lot of conversation online is just ridiculously uncharitable. People outright trying to misunderstand each other so much on both sides, right? It's not a matter of I agree with Globers, so Globers get away with it. No. If you're talking to a person who believes in flat Earth and you assume that they're a foe and that they're lying and that they're dishonest and that they're like, that's just outright wrong, regardless of your conclusion being right, or regardless of me agreeing with your conclusion, right? But there is another principle which I kind of see very much transgressed upon by flat earthers, and that's the principle of totality of evidence. Okay? You need to take everything into account. The fact that you have managed to squint on one eye and ignore this piece of information and not look at this, and then come to this constrained conclusion just based upon looking at these two pieces of information, yeah, that way you can justify just about anything. But the thing that how I know the Earth is round is because it aligns with everything. It aligns with optics. It aligns with GPS. It aligns with measurements of celestial movement. It aligns with durations of time and day. It aligns with general and special relativity. We use it to calculate the most optimal pathways on the Earth. You can use it to measure out distances, right? Because like the level of conspiracy that would be required to cover that up, that optics are fucked up because refraction doesn't work the way that you can measure in a cup with a laser or a flashlight, right? You can measure how refraction works, and then you can apply that to the real world. And if the world was flat and refraction existed, as you can prove on your table, it would look to you as though you were in a bowl, because the distant light would be coming to you refracted from a higher and higher angle the longer the distance. Oh, that's why I can see somewhat farther across the horizon than I would be. The effect of magnitude, right? When I calculate, if I discount completely refraction and calculate how far I can see to the horizon from the height of my eyes, which is 1.75 m, right? I can see about 4 kilometers away. But that curvature goes on at the same rate, which means that I can see an object which is 1.5 meters tall, 8 kilometers away. Right? Because that object at the same height should see the same horizon, and I should just be able to see it on top of the horizon. So the distance, when you double the distance, you gain just your height extra of and that's what's that? That's half a floor, not even that, of a building.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to find it right now, but I have like a little, like, you know, you make like you can edit pictures and all that kind of stuff. One of those little software programs. And yesterday, what I did was I actually picked it. Why you can't see, why flat Earth, an observation of the horizon on a flat Earth and a globe are different, and why flat Earth is not what we even observe at all. And I still haven't got anyone to answer for or why it makes sense. Earlier, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I showed like it looks like I made a little building, and it looks like it's on flat ground, but then I showed a video. It's like backing out, and then you see it's on a globe. Pretty cool. I'm trying to find it right now on my thing in my files. At the same time, I'm also trying to make one so I can just show it right away. Share my picture. You guys can at least see what I'm doing. And I like doing it this way because it's very obvious that obviously you can pretty much do these things like in moments. It's like it's not hard to show why we don't live on a flat Earth. You don't have to go through all these painstaking, you know, observations that will gonna take a fucking forever, and you're tired of doing it. Blah blah. Like it's pretty simple to just know. So basically, this is all you have to do really. So if you're observing heights right there, and this one is this one will be a flat earther's viewpoint. One more. So this is our ground level. Okay, so if we lived on a flat Earth, the first thing you would know right away is that our observation doesn't depict a flat Earth. So as you go, your vision on a flat Earth, so you're not going to see a horizon near your eye level. You're just going to be looking straight out. At 6 feet. 6 feet is all you're going to see, right? And everything for your observation will be out there. You'll be able to see everything up until atmospheric conditions occur and make it so you can't see as far as forever. For instance, you can't see. I think I know you can see at least 60 miles on a great day with almost no atmospheric conditions, but no matter what, your vision is going to be straight. When you rise, so obviously the elevation has risen, you're, no matter what, when you look down, you're not going to see what you think you're going to see. You're still going to always be looking at the ground. Your horizon is always going to be at the same place, no matter what height you go. Horizon will always be. So if you go out here, go even more. Again, further out this goes, your horizon is always going to meet the ground. It's not going to meet a horizon. Flat. It's not going to, no matter where you look, you're not going to see it, especially if it's infinite. You're always going to see the ground. Not going to have a horizon. Not the same way. Now, when you look at it like you do look at it, where it's a globe, and I showed this yesterday. It shows exactly what you would depict. It was a globe. So a little bit bigger. And this is what all those charts that like Mick West and all them do. This is all they're doing. So now, if I'm up 10 feet and I'm trying to figure out, where, then it's fairly simple to know exactly what you have to do. You can see it's only so much. Okay, so if that's my elevation and that's where I'm looking from, we'll make that little point right here where everything starts getting hidden, correct? That's about hidden. Now, when you gain your elevation, the reason we say you're able to see more, pretty simple, because you're able to see more at any point. That's all it takes. Right there, see? Every time I go up in elevation, that little spot is going to change. Now, it does not do that if it were a flat Earth. It doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. Now,
there's another point somebody is posting in the live chat. No one sees the curvature. Of course you do. So the curvature that they're looking for is when they take a ball and they look at it from the side, like the curve that you have drawn here. You can see the curve, right?
Yes. Right where that white star is what you're looking at when you're seeing the horizon. You're seeing the beginning of where it starts to curve in the hidden. But go ahead.
What I was trying to point out is what you're seeing there when you look at that curvature. You're looking at it from far, far away out in space. When you look at the base basketball in your hand, you're looking at it way, way, way from somewhere else, not on the surface of the ball. But when you're on the surface of the ball, when you're looking at the horizon, look at the horizon in that direction, and that direction, and that direction, and trace out where it is. And it's always at the same distance from you, right? What do we call a set of all points around a central point? It's a circle. That is the curvature of the Earth that you're looking at.
Yeah, and again, if someone wants to point out how what I just did was fake, what he just explained is fake, I would love the explanation for it, because it's that simple to just even have the concept of what it's doing. Unfortunately, I'm pissed at myself that all the time that I was a flat earther, that this simple type of concepts of figuring things out, I didn't do. Like, it's clear. That was what it took me a minute to figure that how to see if it was possible to be a flat Earth, and I don't think people are doing these type of things, and that's what scares the shit out of me. It's that simple. Like, you're a genius. I'm stupid. So you really have a great explanation for how this shit works. But for someone like myself, obviously, it's easier for me to just do it, super, what I call caveman. So if you're not even willing to try to do it this way, where you're just trying to figure things out, I don't know what you're doing. You want to believe something so far-fetched as it's a flat. It doesn't make sense to me. And I get it. A lot of people don't understand, but I don't get where you don't understand it and you're willing to sacrifice everything for it that way. That's what scares the shit out of me. Doesn't make sense at all to me.
And again, the thing that bothers me is not really that they are convinced that the Earth is flat. That's fine. It's the conviction that the Earth is flat without the need to go confirm that, without the need to find a working model, to find how it works. Like, okay, if you are right, let's say you are right. If you can be 100% certain that you are right, but you would still want to know how that works, wouldn't you? That would be relevant to you would need to build a model.
Yeah. And then there's so much that goes into making a model that I don't think people realize that that's how off flat Earth really is. Like, again, it's not only does it sound weird, but it feels weird having to my opinion, be this obvious. But the fact that it's this obvious, and a lot of people that I know aren't even willing to really investigate this, confuses the crap out of me. It just doesn't make sense at all. It really confuses the shit out of me. How someone could just refuse to look at evidence, I guess is what it is. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm literally doing it right now. It's that easy. It's like, this is how you can tell why you don't see a flat Earth, why it just doesn't work. And I guess if you're not willing to budge and come to the reality of it, like, I don't even know what it, like, it confuses me to even what to say. That's how much it doesn't make sense to me. Now, Seek and Find, I see you in the chat. Trouble, anybody, you guys can explain it. Matter of fact, Human Sheeple, I would love for you to explain to me why our observations are best shown in what I'm doing right now, and a flat Earth version isn't what we see. That would be wonderful if you can answer that question, because you're one of the guys that I realized real quick make up these false ideas of where we live, and then people who don't understand it, they take it and they run with it, and I think that's a problem. I think you posted a video a little while ago. I'm not sure what it was. I'll look at it again, but if you were saying to debunk that, I'll take a look at it, and I would love to debunk anything that you put forth, because you are part of the problem. I really don't like it. I really, really don't like your style. And yeah, it's personal, mainly because of that BS you pulled. But more importantly, it doesn't make sense that you push crap and feed on people who just don't know. I think it's pathetic. My personal opinion. And I saw you in my chat, so I decided I wanted to give you my personal opinion, so you don't, hear it and think I said something wrong, or I didn't want to be wrong. But yeah, you explain to me why what I just put on the screen works. Pretty simple to see that the higher you go, the further you can see, which AE or horizon, and it doesn't work that way on a flat Earth. Please explain. I don't think, I think Sink and Find said he can't get on, but I know Human Sheeple was in there, and it does. He is one of those flat earthers that I feel is a snake oil salesman. Feels threatened by anyone actually questioning things, and kind of just runs around spreading crap. But yeah, just in that chart I made just now, which was actually very easy, explain to me why the higher up you go, the colored line is able to observe further of a horizon. I mean, reason it's not going to have a real answer is because that's not how it works. That's what I'm starting to realize, that it's time now that you either can want to learn these things, because I'm sorry, this is probably, I mean, a lot of the platforms that talk flat earth globe, a lot of them I feel are talking at flat earthers, whereas in what I want this to become is something that everyone can learn, not just, this is why you're wrong. I mean, I like that Barney came on and he explains it all, and then I can ask those questions that I need the basic understanding of for it to make sense. Now, I don't know anywhere where you have that level of someone who really knows what they're talking about, and then myself who is learning. I mean, there's nowhere else you're going to get that gap where things have to be explained from both ends. And if you believe that this doesn't work the way we've come to the conclusion of, I really want to see these alternatives. I told you, any flat earther that needs the floor and wants to present anything that they want, that they believe is going on, you're more than welcome to. I don't mind it at all. I'll have my panel cleared, I'll shut up, and I'll let you just do your presentation. But the reality of it is when you're done, it's going to get scrutinized if it's not correct. Why? Because if you want to be taken seriously, as he was saying earlier, when it comes to these type of things, then you have to have a serious alternative for what you're saying. I agree. Fine. We don't have to call it gravity. Let's start over. Now tell me your theories. Let's use some reasonable doubt and logic into it, and let's see where it comes out. But don't just say gravity doesn't work, but not understand how it all works already. I mean, this is like the third person that I've heard even say, you can't discredit or debunk something unless you have a full understanding of it. And I haven't heard anyone with a full understanding of gravity yet. Even people that are experts at it don't have a full understanding of it. So how could you? But I mean, you've decided that gravity doesn't work at all, and you're going to just disprove it by yourself on YouTube. I mean,
so here's an example from the other point of view. Like, if you think gravity is just buoyancy, and heavier things go down and lighter things go up, and all of that is just buoyancy, there is no such thing as a force of gravity. That means that if you take something and put it in a vacuum tank, it would just float. It would be completely unaffected by gravity, because there's no gas, no liquid, no fluid to create buoyancy and lift it up. So every vacuum tank in the world should be gravity free.
If it was something different, right?
So gravity acts even without buoyancy. Well, actually, buoyancy acts through gravity. It pulls more on the air than it pulls on helium. Particles of air are heavier, they go down, therefore lighter particles go up.
Yep.
That's how buoyancy is created. It pulls more on water than on air, therefore bubbles go up, water goes down.
Pretty self-explanatory. I don't see how. So when a flat earther explains it as density and buoyancy, all they're really doing is leaving out the rest of the equation. Is what it is, right?
For density and buoyancy to work, you need gravity. For gradient density to exist, you need gravity. And when you remove all fluids, gravity is still there, even though there is no buoyancy. So
I see.
If you say that it doesn't exist, that's fine. Then what is pulling things down?
Yeah, and just saying, whatever it is doesn't really work. can't work. As a matter of fact.
No, if you can come up with something that works, the kudos, absolutely. I will take a deep hard look at it. If it works after I take a deep hard look at it, I will go to somebody smarter than me or somebody more knowledgeable than me and say, hey, look, I have found this curious solution to gravity which doesn't require anything other than buoyancy, but it somehow works in vacuum as well.
Okay, so
can you explain that shit to me?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's very easy to turn me into a flat earther.
Well, it is only being the frustrated, but at that point you got to know when it's time to just stop talking, because like for instance, I actually have I probably interact with flat earthers a lot more flat earthers than I do globers even today. That's basically because, you know, the 2 years that I was here, I interacted with more flat earthers, so I know a lot more. It's become a weird thing where, and luckily I'm very happy that I fully believe that most of the people that I know are flat earthers, in my opinion, don't have a good enough understanding of what they're trying to say isn't real. Even though they believe they do, I think the hope that it is flat is so much that little aspects of things aren't fully examined before making those assumptions. I would want to be like, if it was flat, when it was flat, a lot of the things I was thinking about was how can we have gravity work on a flat Earth? Those are the type of things that you would do before you just said gravity wasn't a thing. I mean, just saying things fall down doesn't even make sense. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I want to look in the chat. Actually, let me share the chat. Or can you see the watch page as well? The YouTube, you can see the YouTube page.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to like, a lot of people are talking in the chat, and it's kind of one of those times where the people I see there don't usually come on a panel, so I want to kind of answer their questions, because you're here and I can try to answer some of them. Let me see. Let me just go through these real quick so I can see. And I'm not going to go all the way back to the top. But I do the things that a lot of people talk about. I know Trouble was talking about not seeing curve. Yeah, because no curve seen. Sees curve. No one sees curvature. You're right, I guess. I mean, you can. It's easy to see curvature. The problem is that the curvature of the Earth you're talking about. Now, I was just sharing it. I'll share it again, and it's pretty self-explanatory as far as I'm concerned. The reason you don't see you do see curvature, but to see the actual curvature, you're not looking at it that way. You just know that because there's curvature. How would you see more? You'd have to gain elevation. You don't see more gain elevation on a flat Earth. But in the illustration that I made minutes ago, obviously the higher you go to it, the further you're able. The further you're able to see. That is how we know you're looking at curvature. It's not, you don't see curvature. You know we're looking over curvature because of the elevate. When you gain elevation, you're able to see more. It's pretty specific. Everything about the globe is a lie, even evolution. You want to believe the same that you come from monkeys. Go for it. I sure as hell did not evolve from a bloody monkey.
We didn't merely come from monkeys. We are monkeys.
Well, we are part of the great ape family, I like to say.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, when people say, we come from monkey, like, they're generalizing it for one, and it's not correct. Like, my biggest thing is if you believe in a god or a deity, whatever, why does evolution have anything to do with that? Because you understand that that if you believed in a god the way you I think you do, you would assume that the best way that everything is created would be done, and evolution actually would be the best way for species to survive and continue to survive and die when they're just not conducive to their climates and their atmosphere, the environments. So it's like, I don't understand it. If you believe, why is evolution all of a sudden just so bad? Like, it's not even like something someone could make up. It's what it's done. Like, you don't know what a snake and a lizard is. You don't know what it's a what is it called? It's like a snake it's a snake with legs, basically. I forget the name of it. But it's like all these things that are very obvious to tell. If you don't believe in evolution and you also think DNA is a lie, you understand that anytime you've got a paternity test, you're telling me that it was wrong. You understand that, like, when
no, but you don't have to go that far. You really don't have to put it as evolution or God. Why? So natural sciences, what we call natural sciences, biology, chemistry, the theory of evolution, all of that, in great part came through people who believed in God, having the will and the desire to know that God and understand his creation and look at the world around them to see what their God has created. What is there that God has created? Now, if God has created all life, and if God has created all life through the process of evolution, as we can see, that's perfectly fine with science. Science has nothing to say about the existence of God, unless there is a measurable statement that you can give about your God that we can go out and measure. There is nothing that science says about God. So if God created the universe with laws such that they would manifest in atoms and molecules, with molecules that would manifest in the ability to create a reproducing molecule, a replicating molecule, which could change in minute ways over millions of generations and millions of lateral offspring to create the variety of life, well, the greater the glory of that God, right? Isn't that what should, like, you can see the reality of the universe around you. If that God has created that universe, if you believe in that God that has created that universe, and then look at his creation and deny it and say, nah, that's not how he did it, aren't you denying the truth of what he has done? The actuality of what he has done? Right? So yeah, sure. And if you have a different explanation, if that explanation is true, then it would coincide with reality. If it coincides with reality, then there is usefulness in that, because we can use it to predict more things. We can predict more things more efficiently, right? If the driver of the universe is prayer, then sure, let's measure the effectiveness of prayer and find the ways in which God wants us to pray so that we can achieve things more efficiently and create the world as it should be and as he desires. How can we get feedback from that God so that if any of those things are measurable and real effects, the truth of God should be reflected in the truth of reality. You cannot have one here and one there, and they never interact or overlap, but they're both true. Truth is convergent no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. That's kind of why, if religion is why you believe it's flat Earth, I I don't really want to argue about it. I don't want to have a discussion about it because it's definitely different. And I'm not commending, I'm not talking down to anybody that believes it's flat because of a God. I just don't think, I don't think I could come with evidence that would be different from, that would prove you differently. Because if you honestly believe in a God and a deity, then obviously there's not going to be an authority or anybody who can explain these things above God to you. Or at least I don't think so. I don't have a full understanding of it, so I don't want to speak for anyone that's religious, but it's for one, it shouldn't matter. Like all these things that are inside the talk of this, of religion and all that stuff, I don't think it should matter. Like if it's a globe, doesn't mean God exists or not doesn't exist. Flat doesn't do that either. And I've actually heard a couple religious people start talking like, if it's flat, then there's a God, and if it's a globe, then there's no God. And I went, whoa, that's scary.
Why?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that there's even a gap in that. Like, if I could see you using it as if you wanted to use it as like your leverage, but even then it's not evidence for anything.
If God created the Earth as a globe and created gravity to function as we see that it does, who are you to say otherwise?
Yeah. If it, not, and that's kind of why it's hard to talk. It's like it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even really, to me, form an argument when you talk about religion and bring it into it. If you say God says it's flat, then okay, well, I wasn't there, you weren't there. How? That's a mute point. Then no one's they'll never find an answer. First of all, if man lies in the Bible, you realize that man had to write that Bible and print it out and distribute it to you. Those aren't the words of God. Those are interpreted words of God. So that's kind of where I get confused in those things. Again, I ask these questions with zero disrespect because, again, I don't know. I couldn't possibly know if there was really a God or not. Who the fuck am I? But it's definitely another one of those questions of why is it part of the conversation? Again, if we're going to go back to just science in general, and because a lot of flat people say that's your religion. Well, the reality of it is again, like you were explained very well earlier, and how I interpreted it to be right. It's science doesn't. Science is like, if they're all a team, there's some real backstabbing going on because they want to be better than the next scientist. Like they want to be number one. Like you realize that like the Nobel Prize is like their endpoint. Like Nobel Prize, now I get to do my shit. Now I'm not working for nobody. I get to start working on my ideas. Like who doesn't want that? People don't want to be the boss because they get to be the boss finally. And that's just one way of looking at it. Just one. If that's not even like a real good way of looking at it. I'm talking like, if you look into it, science in the scientific field, like they all want to be that guy. There's not one scientist that goes, I'm good down here. Science is fun, but I don't want to figure anything out. I don't want to figure out how something was wrong and find the answer to it and then be the face of the person, be the name on the dotted lines of the person who figured it out. Like that seems more realistic than they're all just cool, lying, doing science lies. Like how hard, how hard science would be if everything was a lie? Like no one would be able to do it. I can do it. You can do it. You just got to go take some classes, figure out the basics. Then once you figure out how things work and able to construct your own hypothesis and chemical compounds, all that crap, go do it. Prove to yourself that science isn't this one party thing. Not government. Definitely got to be in bed with someone to get in government. But scientists, no, you just got to learn and figure shit out. Want to figure more out. That's it. It's not a complex hidden agenda. They can't lie because if they lied, they'd be passed up by the next guy. Pretty simple.
And not only that, but all of our economy relies on them surpassing each other, right?
Oh,
All
yeah.
of our technology relies on them
iPhones,
surpassing each other.
yeah.
And the companies and that go with the guy who's more correct, who predicts better, will stand to profit from it. So there is literally no benefit of promoting a model which will give you false predictions. Why? Because anybody using the right model will surpass you immediately.
Yes, exactly. And it's the second something went wrong, you should stop and rethink where it went wrong. And I don't think any flat earthers that are doing these experiments are doing that at all, where they're seeing a wrong conclusion and trying to fix it and being open about it. I think, what is it? FEer did a laser experiment, I think in 2015. I don't remember. No, 17. I haven't done like the real rundown of all the numbers yet, but I mean, just looking at it, just in a quick overview of it, I mean, I saw 2 or 3 things that were just wrong. Period. Like, just not even like they wrote like maybe it was a typo in the explanation of something, but I mean, it was like I saw a blatantly wrong answer in an equation that was there, and that was just me overlooking it. I'm trying to figure it all out, and obviously I'm not going to do it in a day, and I saw it yesterday, but I do plan on showing you exactly where that one test went completely wrong, and they had to have known it because whoever entered it into the website put that wrong answer in every single equals of of the equation talked about. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is a lot of uploads I'm seeing that have explanations for sunrise, sunset. I don't want to say any names, but there's a serious problem with how a flat Earth, one of the flat Earth uploads that I saw depicted the sunset, or better yet, the sunrise as well. And every time they try to do this, there's one thing that they do that I don't think anyone's really pointing out, and they need to understand that the way they show this is by putting a candle in front of a camera, some type of recorder, and they move that candle or light straight back from the observer. Now, understand, whether you live on a globe or a flat Earth, the sun never does that. So, one, I don't understand how that can even be depicted as an observation, because there's no way you'll ever see the sun moving directly away from you. It doesn't work that way, no matter where you live. Even if you like, it's just the angle does not work that way. So I don't know how that could possibly be an observation. Am I wrong? It doesn't make sense to me. When I go outside and you go outside, does not matter what you say or I say, we will observe the same sunrise and sunset. And everything in between it will be the same. Now that we both know our observations are the same, let's talk about what could change that. Atmosphere? Okay, let's say atmosphere. But here's a problem. If the angle that the sun takes throughout the day, or I'm sorry, sun observes to take, then that's correct. Then atmosphere isn't the issue. Why? Because if you're on the other side of the United States, I can almost guarantee you, almost to 100% guarantee, that the difference between what would affect our atmosphere is so different that I doubt they're ever going to be the exact same. Just not going to happen. Matter of fact, right now I'm guessing it's extremely humid on the East Coast, whereas it's not humid here, which means there's also going to be a lot more water molecules in the air. But that's not going to change the trajectory at which we observe the sun in our skies. Because remember, not only can we decide we live on a globe because of the trajectory that we see the sun apparently taking, we can use that to determine how long it takes, how long a full day is, because it takes the same amount of time. It takes 24 hours, a little less, get back to to the next day and see an object in the sky, same point. Now, that's not the only thing that you can from this. You can also start going to the distances that these things are from you by using the moon, yourself, sun, all these other aspects that work together to make the system, the solar system, how our days and nights work. Cycle. It's a cycle that we can predict, observe, and predict, and predict, and predict, and predict, and predict. Now, you can't do these predictions on a flat Earth. It's not possible. Because if it was possible, let's just take this for instance, the tilt, which has everything to do with our seasons. Now, we know why it appears to tilt. We know that we can use the sun's angle in the sky to know what season it is and where we're at in that tilt. And with that said, we know we're on a globe. You add other things to it, but I'm going to keep going. Obviously, you'll be live on a globe. I don't see where I'm wrong in any of these things. Now, if it were a flat Earth, understand that the sun would definitely need speed up and slow down throughout the seasons. Because Capricorn, at the line of Capricorn, it's going to be having to be booking it to have a 24-hour day, basically. To have that sun back where it was yesterday, 24 hours means the sun has to be booking it in its orbit on a flat Earth. But then when it hits the line of Cancer, you understand that if it has to slow down because it's a smaller circle, it has to slow down. But again, we don't see the sun changing its in an orbit throughout the seasons. You don't.
There's a simpler example that works for every observer on Earth everywhere that cannot possibly work for a flat Earth. When you measure the angle of the sun that it draws out in an hour, it is always 15 degrees. Why? 360 degrees divided by 24 hours is 15 degrees. Wherever you are on Earth, whatever the time of day or night, whatever the season, whatever, it's always 15 degrees. There is no geometrical model which can describe that other than a spinning sphere. You can swap it. You can have the sphere standing still and the entire universe spinning around it, and the sun spinning at 24-hour cycles around it. That's fine. But it has to be a sphere, and it has to either rotate or stand still, and the universe rotates around it, such that it always, for every observer on Earth, draws out 15 degrees in the sky. That's not a hard measurement to take. Any geometrical model that can explain that in any way. Use as much refraction, diffraction, atmospheric effects, whatever you want, just explain it to me.
Yeah.
How could that work on a flat Earth?
And again, and that's one thing. Remember, even if you can explain that one thing, which you won't, it would have to work with the other observations that can be branched off of that operation, or that observation. I'm sorry. But that, and again, these are the kind of these are things I went through when deciding where I live. When I came out and said I was a Glober again, I'd already gone through these equations and thoughts in my brain with what it would actually take to realize that we live on a flat Earth, and these obvious ones that I give out. Trust me, if I'm saying them and I'm explaining them to you guys, then they're basic. they're as basic as it gets, because that's what I like. That's where I started. And in basics, I could explain how we live on a globe without adding an eye. It's too easy. Understand that the other conspiracies that I talk about, the other conspiracies that anyone else talks about, they aren't the reason it's flat. To clump them into the flat conversation, what I would call, or what I've learned to call it, a bridge, it's definitely not part of. It does not anything of the same. For instance, mass shootings that happen. Those don't have anything to do with the shape of the earth. And doesn't make sense if all of them are hoaxes. That would basically mean no one ever dies, and that's not true. It's not even a belief, it's just common knowledge and logic. And to say every shooting is a lie, is a hoax, you do realize that then you are obviously calling, you know, some of these families that have actually lost family members liars. And who the hell are you? I have yet to meet an investigator who really knows how to break down a video to be able to have the conclusion that they could say it was fake. It's a lot of people that believe they are good at telling something and not really are. Kind of frustrating, but at the same time, it's I see where a lot of people come from, because I am a conspiracy theorist myself. I no doubt about it. But I definitely know I come from it and a different angle, where it needs to have a little bit something more behind it. Again, I'm not saying everything I do talk about is 100% true. It's only steps for you guys to understand where I started and where I'm at in it. You may even come to a different conclusion, but at the same time, you are not going to hear me talk about something mythical happening. You're not going to hear me say something like the hologram. Trust me, 9/11, it had nothing to do with holograms. You understand that, right? Like, it wasn't a missile. It wasn't a hologram. I know this because of exactly how missiles work, how holograms actually work, how the building was built. All these things matter when you're talking about these things. Because to say there was a hologram, you have to not know how buildings work. You have to not know how explosives work. You have to not know how missiles work. Because if you said any of those three things, they don't work.
Well, unless the holographic principle theory turns out to be true.
Well, I doubt that. I really doubt that's going to happen. Thank you for adding that. No. Now it will fuel their fire.
They were right all along. Everything's a hologram, including me.
Well, here's the thing. Well, the crazy
if the holographic principle is true, that changes absolutely nothing. We are all holograms, and that's fine. We have just found out what we are. That wouldn't.
Okay, well,
never mind.
For me to prove that, I'm gonna need to see some people running through a wall. I'm not gonna try it, but holograms should be able to do it. Now, I need someone in the chat willing, that does believe we are holograms, running themselves through a wall on camera, and send me the video. Make sure to say believe we're holograms in the video, please. My email's in the description. I would be so grateful if you would. Yeah, that's the crazy part. I like that people have these ideas of how to make things better, but at the same time, it's like, maybe you need to think it through a little bit more. Because personally, I've heard a lot of, this is why I know, but they're not able to explain why. That's pretty important, because, for instance, or what another thing that I'm confused by is, how is something that's able to be explained a lie, but something that's not able to be explained truth? I don't think anyone could answer that question. That doesn't even make sense. Again, I don't even like saying it, but I love saying it because it's such reality. Can you really say you're a flat earther if you don't have evidence? Because if you can't find evidence, then all you really are is a globe denier, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, that's what science is. Science goal is to prove everything wrong, and guess what? You could prove wrong. You can prove wrong that we live on a globe.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's impossible, but it's not impossible to then, pursue those means. But yeah, so here's what it is. Time to eat. I'm kind of hungry. Kind of getting a little tired. It's hot as hell here today. So I'm going to end the stream. But I'm going to start I want to start looking into like how to explain space and time. Barney, man, you got to come back on more because you're smart and I need your information.
Okay. My information is at your disposal.
Thank you. Because
I'll try to come in better prepared. Like if you can give me an advance on what you're interested in, I can come in equipped to explain it.
Yeah. Because I just saw our chat in the back chat from a while ago, and so I'll get in contact with you again through that, and before I go live or before I go live on that topic, I'll let you know. And that way I can also have questions that, would better be asked when that topic is being talked about rather than just randomly. Then we'll go from there, because I want people like you on, because you can break it down. Like, you're not just like, there's a lot of people I explained when I was a flat earther that I'd come across. There were people that believed they knew what they were talking about but couldn't explain it. There are people that know what they're talking about but couldn't explain it. But then there's a small class of people that I considered that were that knowledgeable of something and then able to simplify it, break it down to someone like myself. And I know that's not easy. So I give all the respect to you. My buddy Paul, he's in the other server. He was in the chat a little while ago. But like, guys like you are the reason that I was able to start understanding things, because you were more than willing to break it down and simplify it for a caveman like myself. But to the people in my chat, that kind of is a downside to you guys, because when I see you guys discounting things they say, but not have evidence for discounting anything they're saying, it's kind of frustrating. Now, I would say, why not prove them wrong, but with evidence? Make me happy. Like, all these people are like, when are you coming back to the flat earth? I'll come back to flat earth to start giving me some evidence. That's why I left. I mean, seriously, you want to really do it? Like, if we had a scale and it was like good pros and cons, and I was like, evidence, no evidence, like, right? Like, if we went to court, do you want that judge to make a decision based on evidence or no evidence? Because I had to base mine on evidence. I'm sorry. But with that said, thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much that you came on.
It's been a pleasure.
I'll go ahead and message you. I'm going to, okay, so I have a back chat. I have a back chat a group that I have people added to, that I basically will send the Hangouts and the YouTube link so they know exactly when I'm going to be on and Hangout's going to happen. I'm going to add you to that so that you can come on anytime you want. I mean, anytime you want to come on, you're more than welcome to it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end this Hangout now and talk to the chat for about 2 minutes. And again, I appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, guys. This was a fun show. I mean, if anything, because he was able to break those things down, you can easily go back in this stream and really write it. At least do this for me. Write it down and try to tell me where anything he was saying was wrong, because I will look into it. I want to look into it. I mean, you guys may not have realized it because I don't always talk about it, but I mean, every single stream, no matter what the topic is, like I'm literally taking notes and writing everything down. I don't see why everyone can't show me a big rundown of all the notes they've taken when they're watching live streams. That doesn't make sense to me at all. When you write these things down, you're able to really break them down especially when I'm offline. This is what I do. I break things down. I try to see if they're wrong in certain situations. I try to pick an observation that I can use. I've been using that program for a lot of situations like this now, where I'm just able to have a visualization of it. I'm going to start putting these up as my uploads or showing them during the live streams, just so anybody can see how easy it is to do certain things. Obviously, not everything. Obviously, nothing that proves we live on a globe, but they are definitely evidence that honestly have to look at. What I'm going to do for the next one is I'm actually going to there's about 3 or 4 people that I'm trying to get on, but what I'm going to start doing is I liked what I did the other day, where it was like the first 20 minutes was just one-on-one. Then at the end of tour after that, then everyone jumps on and holds bar and everything. The other thing is, I know I got to get on earlier. I hadn't got the part I needed for this new microphone until earlier today. So the reason I didn't go on the past other days was basically the other mic is really messed up. This mic sounds like complete shit if I don't have the part that I got. Luckily I do. Now I just need to, adjust everything so it sounds much better. So hopefully it wasn't that bad for you guys. Again, the people that did donate the money for that, they don't want to be named, but again, it will be in the public records of anything donated. So you'll see that in there probably tonight, and in any other one. So I do appreciate the ones that did, because obviously great timing, because the mother mic just took a complete shit, and I also realized that my audio definitely needed to be stepped up, and it's gonna happen. So again, I got a lot of big things going on. I know I talk about that all the time. There are 2 things that I definitely am going to be pushing at. I already talked about one where basically I'm doing these little presentations that I can upload and show on the live stream, plus the different experiments that I actually want to start doing, so I can show forth that I actually do understand these things. I think that may be another issue. People don't realize what I mean, that I understand these. But the other one was I want to get a debate forum going where people can actually come on and debate, whether me or Jose moderates, doesn't really matter. But I've like I said before, I noticed that Jose definitely has a great platform for everyone to jump on there and have it at it. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the people that go on there, and for the flat earthers that go on there, a lot of times it becomes like maybe a 1-on-5, 1-on-6 situation, and everyone's allowed to talk, and I get that. But I do want to give flat earthers the opportunity to be able to be heard, and their presentations to be seen. So where I've seen it, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to talk to Jose. He's kind of okayed it, and he kind of thinks it's a good idea. But what I wanted to do is I want to, if you hear like these conversations that are going on in his chat, and 2 people are going at it, and then everyone jumps in on it, why not have those 2 people that believe their conversation would have been a good conversation before everyone else added to it? Well, they can come here and debate, and it'll be like an officer or a small piece of. I don't know 100% yet. If I do it that way, my live streams will be set up differently, obviously. And I obviously would have to be a little bit more consistent. I do watch all the streams, so it's not hard to do it that way. But again, it's all got to be worked out. I don't want to just do it and it turn out bad. So it's not even 100%. Not really pushing for the exact times to be on like that. Kind of puts me in a bad spot with how I work. But I'm definitely going to be on a lot more, as you see. And I know I got to get on earlier. A little late here, so post and anywhere else is midnights and shit like that. And you guys don't want to do it. It's going to be a lot earlier. Put it this way, when my schedule is set like that, you guys are going to know it. Like, I'm going to tell you exact times. By that time, things have been worked out with other not obligations, but projects that I'd like to be starting to work on. And then with that, when it comes to things I'm working on, things I just talked about are things I really want to get going when it comes to the YouTube. Not to mention, I'm starting to do like intros for other channels, not Flat Earth channels, these other channels from debate channels that I know of. And again, it's me trying this. I'm not even on my job by no means, but I'm putting it out there that I'm starting to do different, things that interest me when it comes to computing. Most importantly is this. Most importantly is the geoengineering stuff. I was going to do a presentation on that. I actually didn't for a huge reason. Huge reason is it's actually there was a news report that came out that was leaked from Harvard University's geoengineering project thing they have. Basically, what came out was that the test that they plan on doing will be actually the third test that they have actually done in the field, which goes against a lot of the treaties, goes against actually a legislative agreement that was put forth to geoengineering, I think about 20 years ago. It's and this is public, so you guys can look this up. It's big enough that it could stop the official field test that would be presented to Congress, but at the same time, it's very unlikely, and this is what the report was saying, very unlikely that they'll squash it, mainly because of their investors who have already put forth so much money. Somehow, I don't know how that is more important than the laws that in the treaties that they put forth to it, but it's a pretty big deal. So again, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to start adding those things in. I kind of already see how these, like, the live streams are going to go, but what's going so far, and let me guys know in the chat, in the comments after, what you guys think. Would you rather me save the geoengineering stuff to the end of these live streams, the last 15 minutes, and go from there, the first 15 minutes, or I can only stick to uploads? But the realization is for me, I'm not that great at uploads. Because when I edit myself, I think everything I say wrong or sounds crappy, and I got to do it again. I don't like editing myself, which is why the presentation uploads don't work for me, and the live way. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do right now is I wanted to show you guys the alternative to the Hangouts. So anybody that's still here, thank you for, and you guys get to get a live tutorial. The reason I'm doing this is because there are rumors that the Hangouts are going to be. If that's the case, we're going to need something different, right? I know there's a lot of different alternatives. I think a lot of channels use Skype. I hate Skype. I don't even know Skype at all. So for me to use Skype is death. Like, I'm going to end up screwing something up. So what I have used before, and I feel is I'm going to tell you now, it is better than Hangouts. It always has been. The only reason I haven't used it, and I noticed, and I don't think anyone started using it, is the worry that it's not going to work or it's going to be complicated. And this is actually fucking as easy as it gets, to the point where I just don't get why we haven't started using this yet. Okay, so this is how easy it is. So as a guest, you're obvious. If I was inviting you guys to a Zoom meeting, is what they're called, I would basically just be giving you guys a meeting number or a website number. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how you guys would get into a meeting. So just like here, you're going to go to the regular website, go to your zoom.us, and then right off the bat, right in the top right corner, it says join a meeting. Now, immediately come to an area that says join a meeting, meeting ID or personal link name. That's going to be the link that I share in the chat, or to an email, or to whoever, right? You're going to go ahead and put that in there. I don't even have one made up yet, so it's basically going to be a link or a I think it's a 7-digit number that you can just copy and paste and put in here. You'll hit join, and then you'll basically go to a just say cancel, or let me do this. I'll go ahead and I'll make this. This is how easy it is. First of all, to just make a meeting. And here we go. So you hit cancel right here where it says if you cannot download or run the application, start from your browser. Everyone use that one. That's the quickest way. No other headaches. Just hit that, click on that button, and you'll instantly go to the meeting. Now you pick your audio, whether you're on a phone or a computer. Now, when I was talking about that link, this is the link right here. I put it in blue. That's the link that everyone's going to be given when I share it to everyone. Put the link now so you guys can see. So it'll look like. Now, here's the important part. If that link doesn't work when you put it in that join to meet the meeting, see the last numbers in that link? Use that. You just use that. I'll show you guys right now what I mean. So again, it's already made up. That's how quick it is. Because I have an account, it took me less than 30 seconds to make the room. Now let's say I'm a guest and I want to go in. I'm going to put Zoom in my search, go to it. Again, top right corner, there's join a meeting. Click on that. Remember that link I put in there? That's it right there. Now, sometimes it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, for instance, right now it didn't work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll over. Now, remember those numbers that were at the end of it. Put it in your browser. Copy and paste those digits like that. And then put them in the box. So it's just the numbers. That's it. That's the fastest and easiest way to do it. Put the numbers in that join the meeting and instantly you'll go there. It doesn't pop right up. Again, doesn't pop right up. All you got to do. I'm not even showing you guys. Yay. Why is it going? Okay, that's even actually works better. So again, let me start that again. So Zoom. It. And if you didn't, the top right corner. God. Requires an install from no. So Kurt, when you do that, all you need to do is start with the browser. Look on the bottom of that little area. I'll show you guys right now. Why the hell it keeps sharing it? There we go. So again, right here. Let me see. Okay, perfect. So again, right where it says join meeting, just put those numbers in. And then when you put the numbers in and you get to that screen where you're probably at where it says open Zoom meeting, always open this type of link in a associated app, just hit cancel on that. And then at the very bottom where it says launching, go to the start from your browser. When you go to that, it will instantly take you to the Hangout. So again, just search Zoom, get to the front page, go to join the meeting, and then put just those numbers in. And when you do that, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up over here on the right-hand side. And what it's going to do, it's going to put you in a waiting room. This is why I like Zoom the most, why I know it's safer. It's period. I don't care. You are not hacking this Hangout. The only way possible is if I bring you into the Hangout and I allow you to become a host. Because in this, you can't become the host at all unless I give you permission to. You need a password to become the host. So Kurt, even when you use that start the browser at the very bottom, because when I do it, it instantly kicks me to it, even when I'm signed out of my normal account. Because if that's the case, then it's because I have an account that allows me to. But even then, you should still be able to get in without. I can sign out still and still work. Because when I go to join a meeting, put it in, and I'm signed out right now. Okay, well, just install it then. I mean, it's just like having to have Chrome, right? Not everyone has a Chrome browser, right? I didn't even think about that. That's why being, I would just do it then. Because see here, it just says input my name, so you would make up one, and then it allows me to go in. But I can see exactly what you're saying though. Yeah. It seems that because that's in. Well, the file can't be that big. It's the same thing as a browser. It's like putting a browser in. Yeah, see, everyone got in. So it's actually perfect because I didn't know they were here. So you see these people that are on the right side, they're here. They can probably hear me. I'm not 100%. But more importantly is that they can't get into the room. They can't get to the hosted room. At any given time, I can do it one at a time. What's up, Paul? I think you don't have your mic turned or you didn't pick an audio yet. But regardless, I can control the imaging, what people see, what people don't see, how the setup is. I mean, this is much better. Like it doesn't make sense why we haven't used it. But again, this is sometimes how it works. Again, I have control over everyone. I can put people back in the waiting room. I can allow people to come in. It's literally my control. That's it. Whereas in Hangouts, anybody can take over. Anybody can take. Doesn't matter. So, not comfortable? Put everyone into a waiting room. Otherwise, everyone comes in. Another thing that comes with it is I can control the way the camera works. So here's the thing that I would consider a downside to this. So because of the way this is set up, I have full control over this Hangout. Now, the problem with what I believe is the problem with it is that I can turn everyone's camera on. I'm not going to. Nobody worry about that. But people can. That may be the only issue I can see. I'm not 100% sure if when you set up your accounts or you get in here, you can make it so I can't. But I do know for a fact that it is my option. And that would probably be the one thing you may not like. Now, not everyone likes to be on camera. So that may be a downside to it. But to me, I don't even know anybody who runs a Hangout that would purposely do that. Another thing I like about this one is you can make groups. So can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to start using this a little bit more often because it's I don't even know how to explain how much safer these Hangouts are. It's almost to the point where like a lot of people should feel almost dumb not using it.
It'll probably take people a few weeks to get used to the format and how to use it properly, but yeah, it looks good.
Oh yeah, and then like I said, it has like the waiting room where I was putting you guys in and out of a minute ago. That's how you're not able to take over. So like say like right now, you couldn't kick me like in Hangouts you can kick me off the Hangout and I'd be screwed. Well, you can't do that here. As far as you can,
I can't kick other members of the group either.
Nope, you have zero control. So another thing I like on this is off to the side of us, to your right, now there should be a little thing that popped up that says Zoom chat. Now, because I'm sharing it on my OBS, everyone can see it, but normally you wouldn't be able to see this like you do in the Hangouts. And even more importantly, say I wanted to say something to you and it wasn't important to anyone else, I can make it a private chat and only you would see it. You know what I mean? So like, hey, this so-and-so is doing this, and you don't need it to be for everyone's eyes, but that, stuff like that is important, I think, in Hangouts. Another cool aspect of it is when you share it or you're inviting people, not only can you do it from your computer, but you can also, there's a phone number that you can call for this meeting as well. It's man, everything about this is awesome. I like it a lot more. I just was hesitant to use it because I didn't know how many people would be able to get onto it.
Yeah, it sounds like you should run a practice session or something with it, just to introduce a few people to it.
Oh yeah.
And then once a few people are used to it, it'll sort of spread.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the middle of making a sock Zoom account, so I can be online showing all my account stuff, so you know how to set it up, because that's the other part. It actually does take, it's not easy to just, you're not just going to go through it and click this and click that and everything will be good to go. This actually, you got to kind of set the settings. I can show it, but it's not a good showing because I can't show you my screen because it shows too much impertinent information. But there's some setting up to do that I can definitely go over with people. It's easy though. Once you set that up, not setting up anything else, and it's safe. Like I said, the best part, or the best thing to me about this thing that I really like, I can make groups. So say we had 5 flat earthers, 5 globers on here. I can make 2 separate rooms, and then when they debate, I can pull 1 and 1 out of those groups to the main presentation box. It's fucking badass. It's just like you said, people got to get on. I got to get on here and get used to it. Got to get on and get used to it. But Hangouts goes away, this is going to be the best alternative I've seen.
Yeah, it does. It looks pretty good.
And then again, I'd have to look at it from the guest standpoint, but like I said, the only flaw I see is that camera flaw. But I don't think I've ever been on a stream or a Hangout where I had to worry about someone. In fact, I think in a Hangout you can. I don't remember. But I do know here you can, and I know that may be a worry for some people.
Well, I ain't got no worries about people using my camera because I ain't got one.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
I guess if you don't want your camera turned on, you just unplug it.
Well, exactly. Well, that's what I do, because like right now I'm sharing my camera, but there are times I don't want to. I can easily just turn it off and then it'd be off. But we live in 2019, so everyone knows they're still watching. I either turn mine to face the wall or I tape over it. If you don't want to be seen, you gotta not want to be seen. If not be unaware. It's how it works these days. Yeah, but yeah, that's a Zoom Hangout. I'm gonna do a little bit more research into it because again, I assumed that everyone just. Did you ever download this or anything for this, Paul?
Well, when I clicked on the link that was in your side chat there, it asked me to download an application. I just said yes, and it downloaded. And it was pretty easy from there. It was pretty intuitive. I didn't have to think very hard about joining. Yeah. And I just clicked the join, and it said waiting for the host to invite you to the, to allow you into the room. Yeah. And then I guess once you saw that I was there, you brought me in. Yeah. And that's how easy it was.
Yeah, you can set it up in the thing too. As the host, what happens is every time someone joins, I hear a ding in my ear. Like it goes ding, like a doorbell. And so that's exactly why I looked over. And then next to the names, you just bring into the room. And then, like you're in here now. If I go to like the options, my options are like, I can rename, I can make you the host. I can put you back in the waiting room, or I can remove you. So, I mean, as a host, I have options rather than everyone has those options, just the host. That was the one thing I don't like about Hangouts. People are able to like mute anybody, or even worse, they can actually start injecting people. And I didn't even realize. I thought you weren't able to before, but there are definitely methods to doing it, obviously. But this is definitely a surefire. I've never seen one of these Hangouts ever get sniped. I don't even think it's possible. I think the only way it's possible is maybe messing up with the settings, because there are a couple settings that if you clicked on it, everyone has options. You don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
But I think what I'll do is I'll probably after I'm done here, I'll probably record it and do it. But on my OBS, I can crop the screen so that my information is put out there, but I can still do like the settings for it. So if you're going to make a room meeting, you have the right settings. Because again, everything else is easy. The settings is going to be the harder part, because that one it is worded weird sometimes. There are things you definitely don't want turned on, or there's things you will definitely want turned on that aren't. That's going to be pretty important that I do.
Yeah, I might have a muck around with this myself. It looks good.
Yeah, it's really, especially once you have an account, and this is free. Once you have an account, starting these things and joining them are even easier than I was shown. Like literally 2 buttons.
Yeah, it did say, like, when I had to download the little application, it said that downloading the application allows you to join quicker rather than using the web interface. Yeah, and it didn't take long to download though.
Yeah, and then we don't have, like, I don't think anybody's ever had, because I believe I could actually have up 30 people in here. I don't.
Holy crap!
Yeah, you can have a lot of people in here. It does get to the point where you would have to buy like a monthly subscription thing they have, but that, I mean, again, the free version is more than enough. If you paid for a month one, it literally jumps it up. If I remember correctly, the downside to this is after, I want to say 30 minutes or an hour, one of the two, the Hangout will end, and that's what you would pay for. You would pay the monthly subscription to have endless and unlimited Hangout. I liked it because sometimes, if you Hangout ends, you're able to go to another subject, or you're able to, stop an argument. It's like there's different things. And once it ends, get back into it. I just share the link again before it happens. I think that was the only thing that you would pay for. But again, that keeps your segments. And if you want to talk about different topics, that's a good way of having something separated. That once that Hangout ends, then next subject.
Yeah.
So I was kind of liking that part. If I remember correctly, I don't think it's expensive. I think it's like between 5 and 20 a month. But again, once you start paying for it, like, oh man, everything opens up. I mean, there's like different versions of having stuff like that. But I think I like to see this be the next version of Hangouts that we, if Google Hangouts goes away. Yeah, but I wanted to do that. I'm going to go ahead and end it now, because again, I was supposed to eat like a half hour ago, but I wanted to show this. I'm going to do a better tutorial on this, definitely.
Yeah, I'll click leave meeting and see what happens.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, sir. And again, it's that easy. Now, again, if anyone joined, they'd have to wait for me to allow them in. There is no just busting over a Hangout, and nobody in that waiting room can end the Hangout or kick me out. I have to make another host for that to happen. It's a good thing. So hopefully we'll have that. I'm going to do some more looking into it so I can have a better tutorial on it. Definitely going to do one with the settings, because the settings is very important. For instance, that waiting room is not activated automatically. You have to turn that on, stuff like that. We'll do that. But again, I'm going to probably do it during a live stream and then just edit it to an upload. Because again, for me personally, the live stream tutorial version to the record and upload and edit and all that, I hate doing it. So I'm gonna start doing at the end of my lives. So that way I can just get them out there and I can just take the bits and pieces I need off of that. But I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for sitting in, dealing with all the fun talk. Again, if you're a flat earther, my panel is open to you, period. Globers too, but I want it to be that. Again, I got a lot of things in the work, but no matter what, I'll start doing this every day, earlier in the day, really getting to the bottom of what we need to understand before we make conclusions. Again, guys, appreciate you guys being here so damn much.
but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest, I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die.